Before we begin our annual day, I want to take a moment to truly speak from my heart. We are all aware of the recent Pahalgam terrorist attack, an extremely inhuman, horrifying act that took the lives of not just one or two, but 28 innocent people. It was not just an attack on individuals, but an attack on our shared humanity. Let us now rise and observe a minute of silence in memory of those we lost and offer our moral support to the families enduring this deep pain and profound loss. Thank you. May their souls rest in peace. I now request Manit and Jaisha to take the event forward.
Thank you, Kirtisha. I, Manish Sangvi,
And I, Jaisha Nagra,
welcome all our esteemed guests. Our esteemed chief guest, Miss Padma Damodaran, our principal, Miss Prachi, respected members of the managing committee leadership team of Sri Hirji Bhojraj and Sons, CVO, Jain Chhatralay, our head of department, Ms. Rachana, and other heads of department, to our annual day.
today we gather not just to witness a play, but to experience a timeless tale that pulses with power, passion, and emotion. A story that, though rooted in ancient Rome, resonates with the startling relevance even today. It's a story of ambition and betrayal, of loyalty tested, and of choices that shape the course of history.
In the immortal words of William Shakespeare, we journey into the riveting tragedy of Julius Caesar. More than a historical drama, this masterpiece unveils the complexities of human nature, the hunger for power, the fragility of trust, and the haunting consequences of unchecked ambition. As the curtain rises, let us not merely watch, but feel.
It is with immense pride and heartfelt warmth that I welcome our distinguished chief guest, Ms. Padma Damodaran. Your presence here today is both an honor and a source of inspiration. We are deeply grateful that you have taken time out of your busy schedule to join us.
To ensure that everyone can fully immerse themselves in the nuances of today's performance. We request you to keep your phones on the silent mode or switch them off. The stage is all set. The drama is about to unfold. History is ready to breathe again. So, let us embrace this moment with open minds and honor the incredible effort, passion, and preparation our performers have poured into bringing this timeless tale to life. Thank you for your cooperation. Do sit back and enjoy the show.
Now I request Kavya to take the event forward along with Manit.
Thank you, Jaisha. In every culture and every corner of the world, light has always been a symbol of hope, wisdom, and new beginnings. And today, as we gather for this special celebration, we begin with an act that carries profound meaning, the lighting of the ceremonial lamp.
More than just a tradition, it is a moment that reminds us of our shared commitment to growth, knowledge, and enlightenment.
Let this light not only brighten the space around us, but awaken a light within us, a light of curiosity, compassion, and a desire to learn and lead with purpose.
May the symbolic gesture ignite in us a renewed sense of unity and inspiration.
I would now like to request Tejansh and Yavi to escort our chief guest, our principal, and all the heads of department to light the lamp.
Thank you. Now, I request Alia to take this event forward.
Thank you, Manita and Kavya. As we stand on the threshold of this beautiful evening, filled with anticipation and purpose, it is only fitting that we pause to center ourselves, to seek grace, and to invite the presence of the divine into our midst. I now invite the talented members of our music department to lead us in a soulful prayer. May their harmonious voices become a bridge between us and the divine. And may their offerings usher in blessings, clarity, and joy as we begin this special occasion together. I request all the members in the audience to kindly remain seated during the rendition of the prayers.
God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely to his side with love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. He will make a way. God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely to his side with love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. He will make a way with love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. He will make a way.
Before the lights dazzle and the stage that comes alive, there exists a quieter world, one filled with paint-stained hands, whispered cues, rehearsed lines, last-minute fixes, and boundless imagination. It is here, behind the curtains, that the real magic begins.
This evening, we invite you to step into that hidden world, a world where every prop has a purpose, every costume tells a story, and every rehearsal is a heartbeat of the larger performance.
What you're about to see is more than just a glimpse into the making of a play. It is a tribute to the passion, persistence, and creative spirit of every student, teacher, and artist who has poured their soul into this production. It's messy, it's magical, it's mostly organized chaos.
Sit back and allow yourself to be transported, not just to the stage, but to the journey that built it. Welcome to the heart of our performance. Welcome to the world behind the scenes.
That was a wonderful trip down the memory lane. I would now like to invite Zoya to take this event forward.
Thank you, Alia and Maneet. I would now like to invite our teachers to sing a beautiful motivational song, Rukna Mat. The song Rukna Mat is not just a composition, it's a battle cry for every soul that has ever stood at the edge of doubt and dared to take one more step. It pulses with raw grit, burning passion, and an unyielding fire to rise again and again. no matter how brutal the fall. It speaks to the storm inside, to the dreamer who refuses to back down. Together, the song and the play become twin flames of conviction, reminding us that the world may break your body, but it cannot bend your will. Those who walk the hardest roads with courage in their chest and purpose in their stride are the ones who leave behind echoes that never fade.
तू चल रहा है सफर पे, जाने मंजिल कहाँ है तेरे। रास्ते मुश्किल हालात भरी, पर हिम्मत की रोशनी है तेरे। दिल में रख जज्बा, ना डर से दर्द, हर कदम पर जीतेगा तू इस डगर। जो रोके तुझको कह दे जरा, मैं रुकने वाला नहीं, सुन ले जरा। रुकना मत, हार के भी जीत जाएगी। रुकना मत, तेरी मेहनत रंग लाएगी। रुकना मत, आसमां भी झुक जाएगा। रुकना मत, तेरा सपना सच हो जाएगा। पैरों में छाले, आंखों में नींद नहीं, फिर भी सपनों का पीछा रुका कभी। चट्टानें रोके, दरिया रास्ता बांधे, तूफानों को चीर तू आगे बढ़े। दिल की सुने तू दुनिया की गम, हर कदम तेरा लाएगा नया दम। जो तुझे गिराए कह दे जरा, मैं बोलने वाला हूँ, ये है मेरा रास्ता। रुकना मत, हार के भी जीत जाएगी। रुकना मत, तेरी मेहनत रंग लाएगी। रुकना मत, आसमां भी झुक जाएगा। रुकना मत, तेरा सपना सच हो जाएगा।
Thank you, dear teachers, for sharing such a wonderful message. Let us all make a promise to turn Ruknamat into more than just a song. Let it become our personal anthem, our daily reminder to rise, to persist, and to believe. I would now like to invite Kritisha and Romesh to take the event forward.
Thank you, Zoya.
Today, our grade 9 students bring to life one of history's most gripping political dramas, Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare.
Set against the backdrop of ancient Rome, the play explores the delicate balance between power and morality, loyalty and betrayal. While the title may suggest Caesar's story, his assassination is only the beginning. What follows is a powerful unraveling of conscience, conflict, and consequence.
As Rome prepares to welcome Caesar's return in triumph, whispers of unease stir among the senators, fearing that Caesar's rise may lead to tyranny. Brutus, torn between duty and friendship, joins the conspiracy led by Cassius.
Despite ominous dreams and warnings from his wife Calpurnia, Caesar is persuaded by Decius Brutus to attend the Senate. There, in a moment etched in literary history, he is stabbed by those he once trusted, including Brutus himself.
Then comes Mark Antony, loyal, strategic, and fiercely eloquent. With a masterful funeral speech, he sways the hearts of Roman people and turns them against the conspirators, igniting a fierce power struggle.
Brutus and Cassius, though united by purpose, soon clash and fall prey to miscommunication and despair. Cassius, deceived by false news, takes his own life. Brutus, faced with inevitable defeat, follows, choosing death over dishonor. Yet, in the final moments, Antony calls Brutus the noblest Roman of them all, leaving us to reflect on the cost of principle in a world driven by ambition.
To the talent and dedication of our cast and crew, this timeless tragedy comes alive once more, not just to entertain, but to stir the mind and spirit.
We invite you to embrace the drama and step into the world of Julius Caesar. Let the lights dim, the curtains rise, and the story begin.
Hast thou no shame, Caesar?
Shame! Nai Pompey bear no guilt.
No guilt? And yet the debate runs red with Rome's own sons. This city, once proud, is now made a prize for the ambition. We rule together, Caesar, as two hands held upon the helm. Yet now, thou dost seize the ship entire, casting aside thy friends, drowning all honor in the tide of thy dominion.
Thou dost mistake ambition for necessity. Thou have Rome divided. Don't by strife. Brother, running against brother. Each faction demand the next. No Pompey, this hand brings order with yours would reign. And with the gods that fed in his strength, shall I not bid it to the purpose?
The gods, thou dost invoke them even now. Things they smile upon thy coast, or do they turn away, offended that a Roman would dare to place himself above all law?
Above the law? Nay, I am the law. The Senate had wavered, weak and trembling, bound by old men's fears and jealous squabbles. They would see Roman change their day to their power. But I shall make her mighty, a queen among all nations. I shall bring peace, Pompey.
Peace, call it by its true name. Tyranny, thy peace is silence. Thy order a yoke, where once Rome's heart beat strong with the voice of her people. Now it falters beneath thy single will. This is no republic, but a throne.
A throne. The Senate still stands, and Rome still breathes. Thou see her grasping, strangled by discord, or rising in glory, unshaken in her course. I seek no crown, Pompey. Get our lots of our own fiercely of our own division.
Speak not of division when thou hast cleft Rome in twain. Men who once were friends now take up arms against each other. Sons march upon their fathers, and all for what? So that one man may rule where once stood many.
This is small price if Rome endured. Wouldst thou let her without her weak hands? Her might, sworn in idle debate. I have seen enemies beyond our borders, the Parthians, the Gauls, the kingdom of the east, all watch waiting for our weakness. Wouldst thou hand them upon a platter?
Thou dost name enemies at home while forging them at home. Had thou carved Rome's flesh and thou dost calling it healing? Was it enough to triumph in gold? Hadst thou not all the laurels a Roman might crave? And yet, still, it's sufficient not.
Thou dost think me, driven by hunger for power. Yet, is my power that moves me, but Rome's own fate. I have crossed the Rubicon, and by that step there is no turning back. The road is set before us. Wouldst thou now be my enemy, Pompey?
I sought not to be so, but thou hast made it thus. Yet now, with Rome trembling twixt us, what choice remains? If I must fall to stay at tyrant's hand, so be it.
Then, I blind fate with a cruel degree. Yet mark me well, Pompey. Rome shall bow before the victor.
Then may gods make wisely their elections.
My lord, we must away. I do mistrust the men. Their hearts do falter, and their faith doth wane. They whisper scurry in the darkling grass, and I've heard them speak of light and fear. They watch the stars as if to read their doom, and count each breath as Caesar crosses it.
Loyalty, withered leaf upon the wind. I have served Rome with all the years I own, and now she casting me aside as dust, blown from a ship in careless, callous scorn. Where now the oaths sworn in solemn truth? Where now the men that call me great in battle, to trickle from my side like faithless knights?
Fearing the storm, let Caesar bring it near. Caesar's men draw near, my lord, too near. The port is thick with spies, and the streets run red with those who once did name thee master. Slain, the air doth hum with tidings of thy fall. We, ships and sail, ere doom doth close it upon us. Perchance in distant lands, we yet find friends.
For what do we set sail, and whither go? Shall I, who once had Rome within my hand, now make a dwelling amongst your enemies? Shall Egypt be my refuge, or the East, where kings with gilded robes call me guest, while feasting on the spoils of Rome's decay? Nay, Lucius, better here to make my grave, than wander like a ghost, unburied still, and exiled from the land I swore to serve.
Nay, speak not thus, my lord. All is not lost. The yet may be men whose hearts do beat for thee, who wait in distant lands with swords unleashed. Thy name still rings in Greece, in Spain, in Thrace. Not all are bound to the knee to Caesar's rule. If thou dost flee, it is not in defeat, but to return in wrath and rise anew.
To rise anew, what dream is fast finished? The gods have cast their lots, and fortune frowns. Once I stand unchallenged, first in Rome, my voice the thunder, and my will the storm. Yet now my might is spent, and my name undone. And all the legions that call me Lord now march beneath another bannered crest. Canst thou not see, Lucius? It is ended.
My lord, to tarry here is death outright. Wouldst thou let Caesar's hand unmake thee thus? To flee may wound thine honor, but to fall upon the shore forgotten wounds no more. Dost thou not hear the waves? They call thee hence. A ship waits, its sails outstretched for thee. Grant but the word, and we are bound for hope.
Hope. I thou dost think of fragile things. A bird that floats off upon the mast, yet flees and morning breaks. But be it so, the fate decrees, I live to fight once more. So let us set our course, for dawn can find us. But mark me well, Lucius, if this path fail, then Bombay shall not flee again.
Come then, my lord, and swiftly time runs still, and with the tide, we too must steal away.
Friend, I come in honor and in trust. Thy king, who was once my ally, thought he now turned from me as a faithless turned from the oaths. I fought beside his father, led for Egypt, and now, with exile's hour, I seek but refuge. Let Egypt spurn the hand that once upheld her.
Our king is not a child, great Pompey, and Rome's great favor shifts as though the sand. Caesar, he draws nigh, and we dare not offend. For what king will shed the one whom fortune scorns? Thou wert a giant once, but shadows fall, and he who standeth torn must bow at last.
Is this that Egypt's going to service past? Did not fight to set thy master sire upon his throne, securing him his crown? And shall the sun remain with his back? A crowd so light that tents of blood are not. I call not for thy armies, nor thy steel, only a able that I might breathe and think. Has Egypt grown so craven in its fear that even shelter is too great a gift?
The world is cruel, my lord, and so must we be. A wounded lion bringeth peril still, and Caesar has long arms with hand of steel. A throne made them buy, but even a whisper's breath, and thine own name a poison to our cause. Egypt shall not make war with Rome for thee.
Dost thou not see, Achilles? This is war. Name it caution, call it fear, call it betrayal, cloak it as the wind. Yet, mark me well, this act shall shake the world. Gods have patience, but the wrath is vast, and history keeps tally of all crimes. If this be Egypt's justice, then let it strike. Pompey had stood at fortune's highest crest, and seen the might of kings rise and dissolve. If my fate be cast upon the earth, then I shall meet it, as befits my name.
The only boon that waiteth thee, my lord, is mercy, swift and clean.
In strike if strike thou must. I have lived great. Rome's mightiest was I, and shall not stoop or beg for breath like some base craven wretch. The fates we've tied the days of mortal. The fates we've tied the threads of mortal days, and mine is cut by hands unfit to touch it. Do it, and let the tide receive my blood. For shall these waters hold my name, then those who spill it in faithless shame. Ah! Ah! Ah!
Ah!
Hail Caesar! Egypt sends thee gift, a token of their love and loyalty. The great Pompeius Magnus brings no more.
This all that remaineth of my friend.
A grim and a fitting fate. Dost thou not think thy foe is fallen and Egypt seeks thy grace?
My foe, he once yet ere that, he was more, mine ally, my companion in arms, to perish on a foreign shore, unwept, slain as a felon. This was never his fate.
My lord, was this not the desire? His death not paved the path onto the throne.
Thou fool! I sought to meet him steel to steel, to grant him honor in a Roman's death. Not this butchery, this shame. He shall be buried as befits the great.
Never hath Rome, nor a lord so bold, so just, the feeble republic won thy day, as thou didst rise, but now is standing firm, and empire vast, unshaken and supreme.
We followed thee to tempest, blood and steel, and now behold, Rome kneels before thy might. No rival doth remain, none but Caesar. Caesar eternal.
I have bestowed them victory and gold, brought order where once chaos did contend. No more they are brawling, grasping senators, factions warring for a withered crown. But Rome, one Rome, bound to my sovereign will.
O divine Caesar, the gods themselves decree that thou dost above all mortal men. Take up the crown, let Rome bow at thy feet.
A crown? A king? Nay, more than any king, God amongst men, shall I not wield dominion over the sphere, as great God Jove over yon empyrean vast?
My lord, the men stand ready to march Romeward.
Hail Caesar! Loud and high! Hear our voices! Lead our cry! Fate is patient! Fate is strong! Yet not our journey! None for long! Hail Caesar!
swift.
Stars do bleed, but the shadows linger still.
A crown doth weigh, even when it doth not sit.
Caesar must know what fate hath woven for him.
Who then shall bear him warning?
He shall not heed us, Caesar he is. Then I shall speak.
O ye hard hearts, O cruel men of Rome, know ye not Pompey? And do ye not bestrew with flowers the path of him that lies in triumph? For Pompey's noble blood
hath one of fled, as fleet as worn out shoes. Yea, cheer for Caesar, he who walks alone upon the ruin of Rome ye love. He who doth rise upon the bleeding dust of whom ye once worshipped.
Where is the soul of Rome? And it dissolved like breath upon the winter's biting air. Where are your oaths, your solemn vows of love to Pompey, whom not long ago ye hailed with acclamations full as loud as these?
Nay, sir, we meant no harm.
We do, but honor Caesar, who returned with victory's fair breath upon his brow.
Honor, call ye this honor, to forget so soon the valiant dead, to deck the streets for him, who swore proud of path, O Rome's most noble sons, ye stones, ye senseless things, more kind was earth, that drank his blood with tears, then ye, who washed it with merriment.
Hast thou forgot the days when Pompey stood upon the Capitol, when thrice he rode through Rome's high gates in glory, and ye cheered till echoes rang from every marble dome?
We have not, sir, but times do change.
And fortunes with them.
And shall your fate be ruled by the fortunes veer? When morning breaks, ye fawn upon the sun, yet ere the night, is scorn the light he gave. A people thus inconstant soon shall find that freedom.
Go to, ye deck these streets in festival. If yet nay not, your mirth doth pluck the wings of liberty. If thus ye bend and bow, like supple reeds before a tyrant's bed, then mark, your mirth shall weep in ere long.
We meant no slight to Pompey, noble sirs.
We are but a simple folk.
We know not statesmen's ways.
As simple folk, and shall that simple rule, shall ignorance lift the high crown of Rome, or shall it go where wisdom holds no seat?
Disperse you home, be gone, and take with you your witless revels. See these garlands torn, lest Rome be decked in folly's golden chains.
Hail, great Caesar! The streets of Rome do swell with voices. They shall triumph for thy name. Never at victory was so proud a face.
Antony, my friend, the gods do smile on us. The state stands firm, its foes are vanquished quite.
Indeed, my lord, yet some do whisper still.
Mark how he speaks. Stop sound is not too sweetly. Let them then whisper, Antony. The road or the people's will, not drown with the envious hiss. I fought not for myself, but for fair Rome. And if Senate folks see not, the sight is the weaker. Rome doth see, Rome doth love.
Rome sees what Rome is big to see, my lord.
The people's love is fleeting as a tide. It swells with fortune's favor, but when turned, the self-same lips that sing thee praise may curse.
I, Brutus, ever dost thou where the hearts of men with careful hands, yet mark me well. So long as Rome doth breathe, so shall my name be bound unto its fate.
Thou art Rome, Caesar, and none dare gainsay. That thine own hand has shaped its own destiny. Yet power wins alike both dread and love. And even as now, men with their loyalties high.
Brutus, dost thou, Antony doth note the weight of Caesar's name over all. Kings are so hailed.
Today, these hands do raise the royal crown, and on morrow, daggers. Yet, fear I none. The gods have placed me here, and while I stand, Rome shall not totter.
Yet, my lord, the gods have often been known to strike down men who call themselves divine.
Casca, thy wind is sharp, yet mark me well. No god am I, nor I crave sacred rites. But if the wills have the fate to make me
falls, guard ye well, my lord, for I fear, if thou falls, Rome shall fall with thee.
And if Rome falls, who then shall rise? Thou art a true friend, and come now, let us go forth and greet the people now. As their hearts are mine, and I never theirs.
Caesar! Beware, the comet nights to thee, the time draws close. Beware, the Ides of March, death stalks thee, mighty Caesar.
If death must come, then let it find me standing.
And standing yet, though still shalt fall.
Brutus, thou art most noble, but thy brow is heavy, set with thought. What troubles thee? I do fear the people choose him king. Choose him? Nay, Brutus, this choice is but a painted beam, a hollow show that hides the truth. The people cry his name because their voices have been taught to cry. What wrong are they about to do? But one man? I know not what may come, yet in my heart I do abhor the very name of king. And Rome should be no subject to one will. And yet, Brutus, it bends. Dost thou not see? This day, the people heap their love on him. Their tongues grow sick with the name Caesar. Wasn't Rome built on freedom? Was it not a land where men stood equal, side by side? Yet, behold, one man doth stand alone above the rest of us, and we all must bow to him. His victories have earned him much renown, and he had done great service to the state, as we all have. Am I less Roman born? Was I not bred under the self-same sky? Hath not my blade drummed deep in battle's tide? Yet, mark how Rome forgets. When Caesar breathed his first, was he not weak? Didst thou not know him, pale and fevered, once upon the banks of Spain? I saw him shake, I heard him groan, and I watched him cry for help. A man no greater than the rest of us. And yet, behold, the people call him God. Thou speakst of things long past. Long past, Brutus? Not so. Even now, this very day, I did behold him strut upon the streets. And when he turned, the rabble dropped their eyes, as per God did pass. And when he spoke, it was as though his words were law itself. Hast thou not seen the Senate shrink before him? And Mark Antony, who late bowed in sport, now bends in earnest, kneeling as he walks. I have observed this too. Then thou must see that Caesar was too mighty for one man. Why should his will be the law? Why should he stand when the noble Brutus and the great Cassius kneel? I kneel to none, same honor and to Rome. And yet, if Caesar rises higher still, there shall be none left standing in his wake. Then what shall Rome become? A nation chained? A senate but a hollow gilded shell? And our people? Not as citizens, Brutus, but slaves. Oh, Brutus, if thou lovest thy Rome as I, then tell me, shall she wear a monarch's yoke? If Rome is doomed to one master's will, then must I bear the burden of my thoughts. And wouldst thou have that master be but one, whose breath may shape the fate of all of Rome? Think on it, Brutus. What if now we stand upon the edge of freedom's final hour, and if Caesar were to climb, we must fall beneath? The question is not if, but when.
to my will. Yet victory sitteth heavy upon the shoulders of him that beareth it.
Heavy? How speaks thou those who strive for a burden? Thou hast prevailed, my love. The world doth lie beneath thy feet.
And in my own triumph, I do behold the shades of those who shall rise against me. Pompey is vanquished, yet his sons do yet breathe. His allies murmur in the shadowed corners. The Senate doth quake, fearing that I wax too mighty.
And hast thou not? Thou art Rome itself. That power doth beget envy, my love. Thou must tread with very foot.
Really, I will let the Rubicon. No course remain but forward. The Senate must perceive that I be not their foe. I am Rome's salvation.
Thou art a man, Julius, not God. And men, how great soe'er, are yet but mortal.
Am I to fear daggers? Daggers in the dark?
Not fear, my lord, but be there. Rome is thine, but to keep it shall prove the greatest strife.
In that strife shall I meet as ever I have, with strength, with wisdom, and with the God's favor.
And with caution, I do beseech thee, for even the mightiest may fall, my love.
Then let them assay. I am Julius Caesar.
We strike. We strike, not as base murderers, but as Rome's true saviors. Yet to hew, but Caesar's down sufficeth not. The people's trust must be our shield, our plea, and for that cause we needs must win Brutus. Brutus? We don't love great Caesar as a father, but he swore on his hand against him in blood. Aye, he doth love him well, but Rome yet no more. And therein lies her path. No hateful tongue shall whisper in his ear, but voices soft with duty, honor, and right.
The people hold Brutus in high regard. If he not stand with us, they shall not like reason, but justice. No, be not. Yet will he bend his heart unto a cause.
He shall, if he but think that Caesar loves for kingly crown, the seed of tyranny, once planted deep, shall Brutus doubt himself then nourish in a cruel tree, whose shadow darkens Rome.
He had been troubled of late, oft alone. His brow was tight in thought. Methinks his soul already wrestles with uneasy dreams.
And when he should, dost thou not see my friends? Each day Caesar doth rise and Rome doth sing. His name grows larger than the state itself. What Lord image, and one man may shape the world by just a word. The Senate needs already, I did see, the elders go before it, not as men, but as dogs before their master's way. And do, he took it as his due. This is not Rome.
Then let us move with speed. Time betrays the eyes of Macedonia. And so doth Caesar's fate.
My lord, what burden doth suppress thy soul? Thy visage is undressed, thine eyes do burn with troubled fire.
Undressed? Rome, herself is restless as a sea, for tempest brave. I see it in the streets, I hear it low, in the muttered council amongst the quacking senate. They do fear.
Caesar, yea they do. They tremble before the measure of his mind.
Have thou not seen what feeble hands have wrought? How scheming tongues have ground great Rome to dust? The senate, clinging to its beloved path, the spirit of virtue, choking of breath, yet Caesar will something greater still.
of freedom, of the right to think at a public whole.
Freedom, a word men yield as daggers when it serves them? Tell me, good Sergius, did the Senate win Rome her glories? Did they hollow tongue like Egypt to her knees?
Nay, Caesar did.
Hey, he does not command men's swords alone, but faith herself. And yet, the gathering storm does whisper treasure upon the room. Envy does festival in a heart of faith. Envy strikes swift without a helm.
What course then shall we take if they should move against it?
Then Rome must make her choice. And when I know where Anthony doth stand, and if the Carthaginians think to cut him down, they shall not find him one man, but a force too vast to reckon with. And if they dare to name him enemy, then let them know, Mark Antony shall be their enemy too.
My love, thou lookst troubled. Should this not be a time of triumph? Caesar hath prevailed, and Rome doth rest in peace.
Peace, says thou, Arum doth cheer, but I do fear. Pompey is gone. What now? God stand between the great Caesar and the throne?
Dost thou not trust him? Has he not ever been a friend most true and loyal?
As a man, I trust him well, but not as a ruler. I have seen hunger for crown before, and never did Rome about a kingly yoke. Yet in the people's eyes, I see that hunger.
And if it come to pass, what wilt thou do?
I know not to resist great Caesar's rise, but it to resist the very hand of fate, yet to sit idle, let ambition thrive, is to betray what did Rome stand upon.
Thou speakst as one who weighs every choice. Hath treason's whisper crept into thine ears?
Nay, no one has spoken treason, yet this thought doth gnay upon my soul. If Rome should bid me rise, shall I stand deaf and still? Nay, poor nay. If Rome would bid me rise, how can I refuse?
My lord,
Brutus, awake, awake, noble Brutus. How can we sleep? Will it Rome is threatened? Awake, awake, noble Brutus, to see.
my lord,
Cinna, thou hast the hand of poet fair, and yet thy mind doth craft the statesman's sleep. These words, so full of grief and urgency, shall stir the heart of Brutus to our cause.
If words may rouse men's hearts to write his deeds, then let them strike as thunder at his soul. I pen not as conspirator, but voice of Rome forgotten, crying for a savior. Scatter these in places, where I shall fall upon them, as if fortune's hand did guide them forth. Before his home was stare within the Senate, here upon the stones, whereof he walks in thought, there shall they lie.
Aye, let them lie as omens sent from fate, as whispers of the gods, unseen yet heard. For Brutus is a man whose noble soul doth hunger for the voice of Rome itself. And if he think the people cry his name, he shall not turn his ear away. Hast thou yet written the lines that speak of Caesar, of his ambition, cloaked in golden robes, and of how his shadow swells to cover the whole of Rome?
Brutus, awake! Shall Rome now bend the knee? Shall one man stand where once proud equals ruled? Thou art true, and if honor be thy guide, then must thy sword and spirit rise as one.
Shall not read unmoved, not love great Caesar as a friend, but greater still, he loves the name of Rome. That is our key. No force, no threat, and no steel, but honor's call shall bend him to our cause. By morn, these words shall know upon his soul. By eve, his heart shall wrestle with itself, and ere the eyes of Mars doth rise in full.
Shall fathers go and sons be born to kneel? Shall the lords of Rome be subject to one will? O Brutus, if thou art yet thyself, arise, thy country weeps for thee. The time is now, delay is led to Rome.
Brutus shall come to us.
Then let the words take flight.
Come, Brutus, come and see the world anew.
The voice of the people, Brutus. They do say without us turn from still. Caesar doth grow too great for Rome to bear.
They call upon me as their savior true. Yet, is he tyrant? Hath he not been fought and given Rome new glory? They do cheer his name aloud.
Aye, they do cheer. But is it for love or fear? Dost thou not see it, Brutus? With one hand he taketh power, yet with the other gives. Today he is beloved, and on the morrow, what if the people love him not? What is Rome if she must kneel to one man? Did we not drive out kings for freedom's cause? And yet, lo, comes another with a crown, and all Rome kneels, forgetting where she rose.
They kneel too swiftly, Brutus, even now upon the capital. Men whisper low of Caesar's will, how he should take the name of king, should they but place it on its brow.
A king? He hath refused it thrice.
Hey, what a show! A play for foolish men. He hath refused, yet lingers evermore near that same seat where kings had reigned of old.
Brutus, we know thy heart is Rome's alone. But should Caesar wear but mortal robes, we would not call thy forth this night. But see, he wears ambition like a royal cloak. He walks as though the world is his to rule. And if he rise, what then? Shall Senate bow? Shall laws be written by one man's decree? Shall Rome once strong become his gilded slave? It does confound me. No way, Brutus. Thou dost wrestle with thy soul. Yet mark me well, if thou stand silent, then silent shall be Rome's eternal fate.
And think, dear friend, what would great Pompey say when to see his murderer, now hailed as king, upon the self-same streets once red with noble blood?
Brutus, thou dost love Caesar, this we know. But Rome, thy Rome, thou lovest him more, and thou dost know what must be done.
If Caesar's pride doth threaten Rome's own fate, then I must act, not out of envy blank, nor hatred wild, but love for Rome alone.
Shadows lengthen, whispers creep.
Fate awakens from its sleep.
Yet daggers gleam in hands unseen.
Blood shall stain where gold has been.
Lion prowls with laurel brew.
Yet doom is near, he knows not how. chills my blood. High statue ran with God, and Romans themselves came with eager hands to bathe themselves in the rain.
Dreams are but shadows, my love. No more shall Caesar, who conquers fate, tremble at the phantoms of the night.
Yet many want thee, not I alone. The soothsayer cried his omens in the street, and Cassius's brow was knit with anxious lines. The heavens themselves draw arms against this day, and in the capital last night were heard strange cries as of ghosts whispering through the halls. Stay, if not for thyself, then for Rome.
Rome calls me to the Senate, not to cowardice. Must Caesar be a trembling wretch, undone by omens, wrought a mist and women's fears? Thy love is dearer to me than my life. Yet fear not, Calpurnia. Caesar is greater than any omen.
'Tis not for love alone that I plead with thee. Thou art Rome's pillar. If thou dost fall, then what of Rome? If thou lovest me not, then hear me, for the city's sake. Has pride so hardened thee that thou dost scorn the warning sent by fate? Not dreams only. The priests too found no heart in the peace that they did dissect this very morn.
The gods do test the strong, not shield the weak. I am their chosen one. If no heart was found, it is Rome that lacks one, not Caesar.
Then be Rome's heart by sparing thy own life. Let not your name, so strong upon the lips of men, be whispered next in dirges low.
The shadows do fall, but they shall not on me. Doubt is a thing for men lesser than I. If fate must come, let it find me standing.
And standing yet, thou shalt still fall.
I draw near, the gods have spoken, none shall hear. The king he breathes, a throne he sees, the dead shall play beneath the trees.
Hail Caesar! The morning greets thee bright and fair, as thou dismay, eager for thy voice.
Hail Caesar! Hail Caesar!
The morning greets me, yet it bears strange weight. I have slept ill, my friends, shadows haunt the edges of the day.
Shadows, my lord? Nay, they are but the ghosts of fear and fancies. The gods, in truth, have opened fortune's wreath for thee this day. The Senate waits, their hearts with honor, to lay before thee. What Rome would bestow? A crown, my Caesar.
A crown?
Did none yet tell thee? Then are we more shamed to bring such news with voices unprepared. The Senate, even now, debates this gift. If thou dost come not, Caesar, who can say a king's fate should not lie in idle hands?
And shall it be said, then mighty Caesar feared that he did tremble at a dreamer's way, while lesser men claimed laurels meant for him.
Ye know me ill, good friends, if thus ye think. Not fear, but caution bids me pause this day. Calpurnia's heart doth ache, and when a wife with love as fierce as hers, then even Caesar shall bend his ear.
Ah, but a fear, my lord, is love's disguise. A woman's dream is but a mirror false, and she hid her for what the gods revealed. For mark me, Caesar, mark me, what she deemed as bread was not but Rome's rejoicing. They did wait, not in thy ruin, but in thy sacrifice, a tribute to the gods for the joy of thee.
And what was a warning is now reversed, and which struck my wife with dreadful fear was not a sign of glory.
Indeed, my lord, the gods do crown thee twice, once in the heavens and once here in Rome.
How dost know my heart and knows me true? If I see danger in this day, or if my soul did stir with warning dark, I would not bid thee forth.
Aye, Caesar, if danger comes, my hand is thine.
Then let us go. I shall not make Rome wait.
See, See how fate smiles upon us. Caesar walks. He knows not where his path shall lead.
O Rome, my heart, God tremble at this hour. Is this the path that honor bids me walk? Or am I but a pawn to others' will? He hath been my friend, I, dearer than a brother, yet doth he rise too high, too swift, too proud. Shall Rome be ruled by one man's blood alone? Shall he call king the man who once stood equal? If I do strike, let it not be in hate, nor in the spirit of base treachery, but in the name of Rome, of liberty. This not Caesar whom I slay, but one which turns his noble heart to tyranny. O hands, how must not fall now? If I offer Rome alone. Farewell, sweet mercy. This day is thy last. Now, Brutus, steal thy soul and play thy part.
Beware, beware, the eyes draw near. The gods have spoken, yet none shall fear. A king he dreams, a throne he sees, but death shall claim him 'neath the trees.
Why press ye so close upon me, friends? What business? It is heavy in the Senate today.
Most noble Caesar, I do bend my knee to beg thee, grant my banished brother peace.
Thy brother had been exiled by just decree. Shall Caesar's words be taken as common leads? Shall laws be made to shift by every wind?
Yet, Caesar,
Speak no more of this. I am as constant as the northern star. No force shall move me.
Hail Caesar!
For Rome, the tyrant goes down. For Rome, the tyrant goes down.
Casca, what treachery is this?
the death of a tyrant!
You strike like cowards. Telling upon one.
He's dead! Rome is free!
He is he, the stars are aligned. A ruler falls before his height. Yet from his blood new war shall rise, and Rome shall weep with blinded eyes.
The deed is done. Rome brings anew. Yet, hear the murmur on the streets. Some cheer, some wail. If we must keep their favor, we must haste to shape their minds. Ere sorrow turns to rage.
Hey Cassius, thou speakst true. His deed was just, yet justice needs a voice. The people love him still, and if we win them not, our cause is lost.
They call him tyrant, yet they leave him slave. The fickle hearts of men do shift like this. We must be swift to reach them why he fell. Or else, this knife that freed Rome binds us in chains.
Then, shall we speak upon the roster, Brutus? Declare the cause, unmask this tyranny, and show the moves through his Rome freedom troops.
Let us tell them that we trust in love, not envy, nor in hunger for deceit, but for the good of Rome.
So shall it be. Yet one thing more remains, his funeral. Shall we deny him rights and cast his dust upon the wind like some forgotten thief?
His pawn should rest unhonored. Give him not, for even in his death he holds men's heart. Let him not stir them further from the grave.
Yet to little whisper a reason wise. People would cry, shame upon our names, better to lay him down, with honor due, yet speak to show his faults, for Rome's salvation.
Then we shall grant him burial, but with care. No voice must rise in grief to make him sane. No lips must stir the people wrath against us.
Oh, noble Romans! Honorable men! I come not here to quarrel, nor to chide, for thou hast done what thou hast done. Yet grant me this. Let me but bury my friend to his last rest, and with due rites commend him to the gods.
Antony, thy love for Caesar is well known. What seekest thou? A chance to rail against us?
I seek but leave to speak. No more, no less. Let me but praise him as a friend may do, and speak no ill of his noble slayers. What harm is there in this? The deed is done. Shall he, Caesar, not have a simple yet honest word?
Brutus, I like not this request. His tongue is keen, and he doth hold the heart of Rome in hand. If he may speak, he may inflame the crowd, and turn their fury to grief against us.
Yet Antony was Caesar's friend, and Rome would look ill upon us to silence him. If we forbid him, it may breed more hate than if we let him speak. Yet guard his word.
And how shall this be done?
Mark Antony, thou shalt have to leave to speak upon his rights, yet with one oath. Thou shalt not blame us here, nor set the people against the cause we serve. Speak all thou wilt of Caesar's noble life, virtues, triumphs, and glories. But thou shalt say, this deed was just and right, done for the love of Rome. Will thou swear this? I swear it, noble Brutus, by my honor. No ill shall pass my lips against thy hands.
No, no, no. I do not trust him. Words are mighty swords. And Antony? Antony is the master of their edge.
Let them strike, for truth shall stand unstirred. The cause is strong, and Rome shall understand. We shall speak first, and set their minds aright. And when he speaks with our consent. Oh, noble heart, betrayed by those he loved. I shall not chide them, no, nor rail upon them, but yet my word shall move the stones of Rome, and call them each to witness of thy wounds. Then let the rites be done, and I, Mark Antony, shall stand as witness to a great man's passing soul. Then let us hence. The crowd awaits our words, and Rome stands on the edge of fire or peace.
Oh Rome, my sacred home, what have I done? Not hate, nor envy has guided this cruel blade, but love, love for thee, my motherland. I struck not down a man, but struck at power. Lest it should rise too high and crush us all. Would that his heart had known more humbleness. Would that his ear had bent to wiser words. Then still would not have answered fate's command. O Caesar, you were my friend, my guide. But yet, no man may stand above the law. Rome must be ruled by many, not just by one. Justice makes me guilty, and I accept it, and let the gods be witness to my soul.
Oh, mighty Caesar, how do you lie so low? Thou whose voice could
the rest. Oh, Brutus is an honorable man. And they all are honorable men. I, Mark Antony, call upon the gods, call upon the heavens, call upon the furies that watch from the night, that justice may descend upon all, that fire and wrath upon the guilty.
Caesar is dead, but his spirit still walks amongst us. The Senate drips with the blood of treachery, and those who struck him now sit high in power, feasting while Rome trembles. Shall we bow our heads like beaten dogs? Shall we let this crime go unpunished?
Never! The murderers named themselves as saviors, yet they have unchanged only chaos and fear. The people weep, lost in doubt. Some cry for justice, others hate the traitors.
We must tread carefully. People are divided. Some curse Brutus and Cassius, calling them butchers, yet others whisper they have saved the republic. If we strike too soon, the city may turn against us.
Caution, Lepidus, of cuts deeper than a dagger. Dost thou not see? Brutus and Cassius move already. They do not wait, they do not fear. Even now they gather their legions, sharpen their swords. Shall we stand idle? Will they steal Rome from us?
I have seen their messengers ride to east, calling upon our allies, steering the embers of war. They mean to strike, and if we don't raise our hand first, it shall be cut from us.
Then we shall answer them in kind. But power must be wielded with wisdom, not rage. Let not one man rise too high. Above the west of Rome shall not suffer another Taiwan.
If it be Rome, then I stand with thee. Let them find that our blades strike true. Let them find the guilty and not Rome itself.
Then it is sworn, the blood of Caesar shall not cry unheard. Brutus and Cassius shall find no shelter, no peace, no place in this world where their sins go unpunished. We shall hunt them to the ends of the earth and reclaim what is rightfully ours. Let the world know Caesar may be dead, but his will yet lives. Through us, his vengeance shall rise!
Brutus, thou art too gentle, too full of noble thought. Did I not warn thee? We should have struck down Antony with the same hand that fell great Caesar. Yet thou, ever merciful, let him live, not only live, but speak before the people, pouring honey poison into the ears, turning them gangsters while you sit silent. And now he gathers legions. Rome is lost to us. Cassius, I did what was just. Shall we slay every man who mourns his friends? If we become butchers, what difference lies between us and the tyrant we swore to strike down? We did not kill Caesar for power or greed, but for Rome, for her liberty. And if we must strike, let it be for Rome still, and not for vengeance or fear. And yet, Brutus, what good hath thy honor done us? Honor makes a poor shield in war, but we stand upon principle. Antony sharpens his sword. Each day his strength swells, each hour his ranks grow. And now thou wouldst have us march to Philippi, throwing ourselves upon the spears of a greater army? Nay, Cassius, thou dost not see the field clearly. If we wait, Antony's power will only rise. The longer we tarry, the stronger he becomes. And Rome shall slip from our grasp like sand. We must strike, while fortune still favors us. Before his forces are whole, before our allies win. Brutus, thou art leading us to ruin. Hast thou not seen? We are not the masters here. We are but men clinging to a crumbling cause. And thou, blind with honor, dost lead us to our grave. Brutus, what troubles thee? Portia's dead, Cassius. The dead? How?
She could not bear this war, nor my absence. Her heart was too heavy with sorrow, her spirit too fierce for waiting. She swallowed fire, Cassius, fire and despair.
Brutus, I knew not. Had I known, I would have stood beside thee in thy grief. Thy wife was noble, fierce as any warrior, worthy of thy love.
We have no time for mourning, Cassius. Grief shall wait for the living. We must strike, not for ourselves, not for our pride, but for Rome, for what we believe is just.
Then I shall follow thee, Brutus. Though I fear this lad, though I see doom upon the horizon, I shall not turn back from thee now. Let us march to Philippi, and let the destiny decide our fate.
Behold, the so-called liberators of Rome. Tell me, Brutus, Cassius, what freedom is this that must be won with Roman blood? Ye cried out tyrant as your daggers fell, yet here ye stand, swords drawn against Rome herself. Dost thou now see the price of treachery?
Treachery! Treachery, says thou? Nay, Antony, nay. We struck not for power, not for pride, but for Rome, for her sacred liberty. Caesar, he was great, yet he grew a little too great, until Rome herself was shackled to his will. Wouldst thou would have as kneel, as thou dost now?
And yet, Brutus, Rome follows me now. The Senate stands with us. The people cry out, not for thee, nor Cassius, nor for the cause, but for Caesar. His name stands out mighty in death than it was ever in life.
Nay, the chances they were whom you serve, how lost him to fight for him. Yet the Brutus had been hiding beneath the shadows of a dead man's fame. Hast thou not seen? Young Octavius, thou and Antony have seized his throne and call it duty, kings and all. But nay, Cassius!
Words will not change the tide nor spare a single life. Let the speech of Rome written, not written. But splash steel upon steel. Enough talk. Let the words decide what happens next for Rome.
The gods have cast their lots, my lord. Yet think not that fortune shall ever favor traitors. Brutus and Cassius stand in honor, and thou, Antony, dost build thy kingdom upon a murdered man's name.
A murdered man I, and who held the knife? Who whispered justice as they carved out his life? Had the great Caesar been but given breath to speak, had he been granted one moment more, would he not cry out against the old? Would he not call the murderers to the heavens? Nay, Servilius, it is not I who shroud myself in a dead man's name, but thee who shroud thyself in false virtue.
My lord, the battle waits not for our tongues. Octavius stands swell with each passing hour. We must fight, let us fight now. Ere our cause withers like fruit unplucked. No more! We stand upon the edge of fate. We have no words left, only steel and resolve. Antony, Octavius, if ye be Rome's future, then let the gods make their judgment. Let the battlefield be our witness, and let the cross feast on this fortune does not favor.
Then come, Brutus, if thou thinks thy cause is just, then let thy blade prove it.
So be it. If I must fall, I shall not fall alone.
To arms! Let Rome's fate be written in blood!
Dost thou see? My eyes grow dim with smoke and sorrow. Look down, tell me what fate greets Tithonus.
I see Tithonus riding forth. He spurs his steed with speed and might, galloping toward our men.
And do they take him in welcome or in wrath?
They move towards him. They surround him. I see their weapons raised. Oh my lord. Tithonus is seized. He is taken.
Then all is lost. Fate had spoken her cruel decree. This day, this cursed day, had seen the fall of Rome's last hope. Caesar! Dost thou smile in death? Dost thou mock me from the grave?
No, my lord, I pray thee, think upon us. Tithonus may yet live. The battle rages still. There is yet hope.
Hope died upon Caesar's last steps. I have lived to see my folly pain. I who call myself wise, who thought I would save Rome from the chains, have instead unchained the furies upon her. Thou art bound by oath, Pandorus. Strike true, set me free.
No, my lord, ask me not such a thing.
Did I not save thee once from chains? Did I not grant thee the freedom? Now repay that gift, Pandorus. Give me the mercy that I gave thee. Ah! Oh, Cassius, my noble general, what madness is this? What cruel jest of fate? I was not taken. I was hailed with joy. Thy men embraced me. They cheered our cause. Victory was within our grasp, but thou, misled by cruel chance, hast fled this world before thy time. I shall not outlive thee, my friend. If fate decrees that we should part, then let it be, but by a breath's width.
O Rome, my mother, my beloved home, this day thy son doth breathe his last for thee. I sought thy freedom, not mine own renown, yet here I stand, undone by fate's cruel hand. Good friends, the hour is come. We are undone. No gods descend to turn the tide of all. No fortune's favor shines upon our cause. We are outmatched, outnumbered, and outborn. Yet shall we yield? Shall Rome's last hope be chained, led through her streets in shame, a captive thrall for Antony to mock and Octavius to scorn?
O noble Brutus, say not such a thing. Where the breath remains, the battle is not lost. Let us yet strike, let us yet fight with swords in our hands, rather than yield to chains.
Hey, my lord, if death has come to us, let us find us standing. Better to perish with honor than live in disgrace.
No, my good friends, no. Gods have spoken clear. Our stars have fallen, and with them, so must we. To fight is but to spill more noble blood upon this wasted earth, for naught but pride. No, our tale is ripped, our fate is sealed. I shall not live to see Rome's fall to tyrants, nor wear the yoke of one I once called friend. Clitus, good Clitus, thou hast served me true. Will thou serve me one last time? Take this blade, and through my heart let drive, so I may perish as a freeborn Roman.
Not for all the gold in Rome, my lord. I'll strike my foes, but ne'er my noble master.
Dardanius, thou art bold of heart. Wilt thou do this deed?
O gods, forbid it. Let my hands forget the way to wield a blade, ere they harm thee.
Ye are true friends, and in your hearts is love, though it not grieve me now to see it so. I ask thee one last time, wilt thou hold my sword? Wilt thou stand firm and give thy lord the only gift he seeks?
If the will, my lord, I shall.
Caesar, now be still. I did not slay thee with an envious heart, but with a love too great for mine own soul.
If this be treason, let the gods decide. I shall not wait to hear the judgment pass. Ah!
Oh, Brutus, thou thee slow, yet standest tall in honor among those who struck the great Caesar down. Thou didst act not out of envy nor hate, but in the name of Rome, as thou didst see it. The rest of it fools, hungry for power, as thou, Brutus, wert pure in their cause. If ever there was a man worthy of praise, 'tis thee, even in defeat.
See that he is buried with honor. No foe was he to Rome, but one who loved him well. Though love led him into a doomed and bloody path, grant him the rights of a soldier and a statesman. For his war is ended, and he shall war no more. Rome is ours now. The days of republic are ended. No senate, no council, no voices to divide the will of Rome. Only one ruler shall command a fate, and that ruler shall be me.
Rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone. Sweep the streets I used to own. I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes. Listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, long live the king. One minute I held the key. Next the walls were closed on me, and I discovered that my castle stand upon pillars of salt and pillars of sand. I hear Jerusalem bells ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, my sword and shield, my missionaries in a foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, once you've gone, it was never, never alone. This word, that was when I got so old. The legends and the myths, the testaments they told, the moon and its eclipse, and Superman unrolls a suit before he lived. But I'm not the kind of person that it fits. She said, where'd you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss. Just something I can turn to, somebody I can miss. I want something just like this. I want something just like this. Oh, I want something just like this. Oh, I want something just like this. Where'd you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss, just something I can turn to, somebody I can kiss. I want something just like this.
It was an amazing performance that transported us to time and emotion. The stage was filled with talent and passion. Let's have a big round of applause for Standard and students and all our dear teachers. I would like to invite Advait and Kritisha to introduce our chief guest.
Thank you, Moksh. We are extremely honored to introduce our esteemed chief guest, Ms. Padma Damodaran. Ms. Padma Damodaran is a multifaceted artist, an actor, singer, dancer, writer, director, producer, and drama trainer with a deep commitment to storytelling across mediums.
She holds a master's degree in acting from East 15 Acting School, UK, is trained in Bharatnatyam and Mohiniyattam, and has also studied contemporary and folk dance forms. She is also a trained Carnatic singer and began her professional journey as a business journalist.
A committed theatre maker, she runs her own company, Red Earth Stories, and is the co-founder of the Drama School Mumbai. She has performed in productions such as What Happened, Postcards from Goa, and Ghat Ghat Mein Panchi Bolta Hai. She has directed 2 plays for the NCPA, National Theatre UK's Connections India Festival, and recently directed Khilona, an immersive installation created with props and actors for the NGO Sakshi.
Her television work spans across shows like Ishqbaz, Gali Gali Sim Sim, and Savdhan India. On the independent film circuit, she has acted in the critically acclaimed Ani Mani and has also featured in Mantra. Her short film, Best Friends Forever, won a national award. She currently appears across leading platforms like ZEE5, Amazon Prime, MX Player, and Jio Hotstar, playing a variety of roles. Rukaiya in Taj, Kamala Thakkar in Farzi, the police commissioner in Matsyakand, Judge Alka Sharma in Criminal Justice, Behind Closed Doors, and Aparna Sahukar in 4 More Shots, Please.
With a wealth of experience across various styles and mediums, she continues to craft a portfolio defined by dedication, empathy, and artistic integrity.
We are extremely pleased to have you with us today. We request you to come on stage and say a few words.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to say that I'm very grateful that you all invited me to watch this fabulous performance. Yes, please clap for yourself, and you did a wonderful job. I don't think I need to specify the role of Shakespeare, not just as a play, but to understand literature, to understand our society. And I think it is an important play. It deals with so many issues that you're all going to face as you go ahead in life. A lot about loyalty, friendship. Who are you going to stand for? The role of democracy. It was such a big issue. Does Julius Caesar become an emperor? All the emperors that came forward took the name Caesar. What do we stand for? What do we believe in? Do we believe in fate? Can we change our fate? These are all issues, and I think too, when I was watching this, I felt moved because y'all committed to the show. Y'all went into the issues that were in the play, and I hope y'all will remember those for the future, because that's what is going to make a difference in your life. And I think I should also thank the teachers, the directors. I don't know who, are they here? Congratulations. I think the role of teachers and directors, they are here to guide you, but ultimately, y'all are the ones who are doing the job. Everything from the people who are changing the sets, to the dancers, to the singers, but mostly, not just mostly, everyone did a great job, and it was wonderful to see the actors really commit to their roles, that they spoke with feeling, with heart. Once more, you need to give yourselves a big round of applause. And once again, theater is a great medium to understand texts. You really get to know this. Was it easy doing this? To understand? But I think now you will be able to understand Shakespeare better. Yeah? It's actually really easy once you get the hang of it. It's just a lot to read. But you all did a great job. And thank you very much. All parents, you should be really proud of them. And thank you, Principal Ma'am. And have fun. Do more theater. Thank you very much.
I would like to invite Brinda to present our chief guest with a token of our appreciation. Thank you, ma'am. I request Rihanna and Khushi to introduce our director.
Thank you, Advait and Kritisha. Before we introduce our director, Aditya Rawal, we will start with a small introduction about the organization GyanSan that has collaborated with our school to make this event possible.
GyanSan Education Services is a leading organization offering a one-step solution for schools to implement high-quality co-scholastic and extracurricular education.
Through workshops, after-school activities, and curriculum-based modules, GyanSan ensures that students gain real-world exposure while discovering and developing their passions.
To date, GyanSan has impacted over 150 institutions across India, including 75 plus schools in Mumbai, transforming the way creative education is delivered in schools.
Our director, Aditya's collaboration with GyanSan reflects a shared vision to use theatre as a transformative tool for education, instilling confidence, empathy, and expression in the next generation.
Coming to a talented director, Aditya Rawal. Aditya Rawal is an acclaimed theatre director, writer, and performer with a profound commitment to exploring human stories through stagecraft. Known for his sharp storytelling, attention to detail, and educational approach, Aditya has directed several impactful theatrical productions across the country, blending classical themes with modern sensibilities.
With over 7 years of experience in theatre as a writer, director, and actor, Aditya has conducted workshops across India and contributed to various web and TV productions. Currently, he is a speech and drama trainer at GyanSan Education Services, nurturing creativity in young minds.
As a director, he has brought Shakespeare's timeless political drama to life with a cast of young, passionate students like us. Under his direction, we have jumped deep into character exploration, text interpretation, voice training, and a lot more. His approach has not only demystified Shakespeare for young learners like us, but has also equipped us with strong theatrical foundations within a short span of time.
We request you to say a few words.
First of all, thank you to all the naughty and lovely shishus of grade 9. Thank you, parents, for coming here and enjoying the play. I hope you enjoyed the play. Did you? They were more audible. Yes. And of course, Rachna ma'am and all the teachers here who have helped us throughout the play. Our team, Agyanstan team, Veenal, Anukul, Ritesh sir, everyone. Thank you everyone for making this show possible. I hope you had a good time. It was very heartwarming for me to direct this play. Many good memories and many naughty memories I'm taking with me. So thank you very much.
I would like to invite Chaitya to present our director Aditya Raval with a token of appreciation. Thank you. I request Advait to take the event forward and introduce our assistant director, Mr. Ritesh Parmar.
Thank you, Riyan and Khushi. Mr. Ritesh Parmar brings over 13 years of experience in the theatre industry. He has worked as an assistant director on a musical video inspired by the 26/11 Mumbai attacks and has collaborated with several renowned producers and directors, including Sanjay Goradia, Kamlesh Mota, Kaustubh Trivedi, and Darshan Zariwala. In addition to acting, he is skilled in script writing, choreography, direction, and music editing. His work was recognized with a gold medal for Best Director among 130 schools at Gold Crest High School, Latur, the alma mater of former Maharashtra Chief Minister Vilas Rao Deshmukh. He also previously ran his own dance academy named Ritaksh Dance Academy. Currently, he is a trainer at Gyanstan Education Services under Cyrus Brocha's Academy, where he continues to inspire and mentor students through the performing arts. I would like to invite Hriday to present a token of our appreciation. Thank you, sir, for guiding us through our annual day journey. I request Romesh and Jaisha to take the event forward.
Thank you, Advait.
No event is complete without showing gratitude and acknowledging the hard work put in by all to make any event a success.
Thus, we would now like to give the vote of thanks to our esteemed chief guest, Ms. Padma Damodaran, for her gracious presence and inspirational words.
To the managing committee leadership team of Sri Hirji Bhojal and Sons, CVO Jain Chhatralaya, for their unwavering support.
To our dedicated teachers and staff at Shishwan for their guidance and assistance in making this play possible. We express our deepest appreciation to our parents. Thank you for being our biggest cheerleaders. Thank you for your encouragement, and thank you for always standing by us.
We thank you all for making this production a success. I may now request Mox to take the event ahead.
You all have been a wonderful audience. Thank you for your enthusiastic involvement throughout the play. We request you to kindly stand in attention for our national anthem.